Dragons have always been a big part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Even in the original anime, Seto Kaiba crumbled his opponents with his infamous Blue Eyes White Dragon. It wasn't until the release of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon that we in the TCG could build a coherent dragon strategy. After playing the Chaos Dragon deck on FCG Duels, which you can check out in the description box down below, I started looking into Hopeless Dragons, which is essentially Norlera's Turbo with a dragon engine. But resolving a Norlera's effect didn't even increase your win rate by very much. Norlera's is just a brick. Instead, I decided to take inspiration from my Chaos Dragon deck and play it as a combo deck that aims to do explosive plays with Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, utilizing Blue Eyes and White Stone to be able to play trade-in. Additionally, the hero package serves as more starter cards. If you like Phantom of Chaos, don't use it as a all-in combo strategy copying a Norlera's and sending away the entire field and hand, hoping that you draw better than your opponent. Play it as a toolbox engine. Phantom of Chaos has plenty of good targets, be it Red MD, Dark Arm Dragon, or Dark Creator, being all very good targets to banish off of its effect. I think the classic Hopeless Dragons belongs back in 2010. With a more modern look on the game, 15 years in the future, we can take the good from a bad deck and leave the rest to the history books. I suppose Hopeless isn't a very fitting name anymore. This is Destiny Dragons for Edison format. To start the profile off, I play 3 copies of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. This is the boss monster of the deck and a card you want to see, so it makes sense to play 3 copies. Then I play 3 copies of Red Eyes Wyvern. Again, this card comes up when you want to bring back the Red MD from the graveyard, so it makes sense to play 3 copies to have longevity. And the 1800 stat line is also not too bad. For the utility dragons, I play 1 copy of Quakimeru Drago. This card is really good against Blackwing and Vayu, seeing as they cannot special summon dark monsters. Then I play 1 copy of White Stone Legend and 1 copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon. While Future Fusion is just a one-off, you do have Gold Sarcophagus to search it out from your deck, as well as plenty of draw cards to see it. So while it is technically a limited card, you do see it quite often, thus warranting to playing cards to search off of it. And for the last dragon type monster in the main deck, I play 1 copy of Dark Arm Dragon. So Dark Arm Dragon is really good because you play a lot of dark monsters in this deck, and it is also a dragon, which means you can send it off of Future Fusion and banish it with Phantom of Chaos to gain its effect. For the other monsters, I play 3 copies of Phantom of Chaos. So what I noticed in my Chaos Dragon deck was whenever I could resolve this card to banish a Red MD and summon a slew of dragon monsters from my hand or grave, I was able to quickly overwhelm my opponent. I decided to utilize Phantom of Chaos for its versatile effect. So some of the strong options you have just in the main deck is Red MD, which can bring back a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a White Stone to make synchro plays, a Drago to lock out your opponent. If you're able to dump a Creator to the graveyard, you can use this to bring back the Red MD from the graveyard for free. And now you have a Red MD that they have to deal with, which summons a monster every single turn. You can use Destiny Hero Plasma, which is also a trade-in target that's searchable off of Stratos. And with Plasma, you can suck up their monster to deal with whatever threat they have. You can also banish the Dark Arm Dragon to copy its effects and pick apart their field. There are plenty of good uses for Phantom of Chaos. The only issue is its low attack points, so it loses a deck devastation virus. But with the rest of the deck being 1700 or higher, pretty much, it's not really a concern. Similar to Cyber Valley, my Chaos Dragon deck, it's not really a concern if it loses to DDV, if the rest of your deck plays very well into it. There are plenty of other things you can utilize with Phantom of Chaos as well. Something like Gendora, the Dragon of Destruction, is also a card you can send off of Future Fusion and copy its effect with Phantom of Chaos. You can also copy things like Bryanak or Goyo Guardian from your extra deck, for example, to get a second usage out of them. To go along with the Dark package, I played 2 copies of Dark Greffer and a Plague Spreader Zombie. A Plague is quite obvious, it's a very good dark monster that you can easily tutor from your deck with the Greffers and allow for various synchro plays. And the Dark Greffer I believe is much better than Armageddon Knight in this deck, while Armageddon Knight has some utility being able to recur him back off of DDR or return from a different dimension to get a free usage out of this effect. That was far too niche in my playtesting, while opening the Dark Greffer allowed you to actually get into those plays to begin with. Seeing as Phantom of Chaos is a normal summon, it really helped being able to special summon Greffer from my hand. Even though it's a neg 1, just to be able to do that play allowed me to do unfair things. I think that's why modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Feels so different than Edison, because in modern you open a hand of 5 cards, and each card can be played immediately. While in Edison format, it's more like a mana-based system where you draw a bunch of cards that you can't really utilize them turn 1, at least in an effective manner. But Dark Greffer is one of those cards that you can immediately special summon. If your hand is filled with a bunch of dark monsters, you can put a lot of pressure out if you need to. And having that option really helps, which puts it over Armageddon Knight in my book. For the other warriors, I play 1 copy of Stratos, 2 copies of Malicious, and 1 copy of Plasma. There was also a point where I played Dasher and Destiny Draw in this deck. Whilst these two are very cool cards, they just weren't consistent enough, unfortunately. And since I'm not playing Miracle Fusion or anything that really requires me to have hero monsters in my deck, I can play as many or as few as I want. And I just felt this was the best ratio to have at least 2 different names you can search off of the Stratos, and the Plasma being a trade-in target and a good Phantom of Chaos target is why I included it. And the Malicious are really good with Plague Spreader Zombie, and allows you to make a particular level 7 synchro that is quite underutilized. Playing the Stratos also gives me an additional target to search off of reinforcement of the army. This way I can effectively play 3 copies of Dark Greffer, but the third one can also give me Stratos, which can get me Malicious or Plasma to use with the Greffer if I already have it. And since I'm not playing Cyber Valley in this deck, I wanted to have another starter card that I can summon turn 1 that just gets me out of the early game. And for the last monster in the deck, I play 1 copy of the Dark Creator. So the reason why I'm only playing 1 copy of the Dark Creator, when it's not really searchable outside of Dark Greffer, is because of what this card really represents. So yeah, it is 1 sole copy of the Dark Creator, so I'm not gonna hard draw this very often. But having the Dark Creator in my deck gave me an additional trade-in target, which boosted the consistency of trade-in slightly. It is also searchable off of Dark Greffer, so if I have a Phantom of Chaos and I want to copy its effect, I can readily do so. Additionally, I categorize this card as a bomb, meaning it's a card that requires some amount of setup, but when I can resolve it, it's very good. Other cards in my deck that also bombs are Dark Arm Dragon, my 3 copies of Red MD, and Return from a Different Dimension. So if you determine what the type of card is based on its effect and its usability, I'm not really playing 1 copy of the Dark Creator, I'm playing 6 bombs in my deck, one of which is in trap form and the rest are in monster form, and they all have different utility. Sure, the Red MD and the Dark Arm Dragon is more searchable than Creator, but I don't need to play 3 copies of the Dark Creator just because I consider it to be a good card, because then I would have 8 bombs in my deck. Sure, that would mean my deck is more explosive and can do more explosive things, but it would also mean that I would see a bunch of these cards in my hand early game, when they might just be dead. Then for my battle hand traps, I play 1 copy of Gorse, the Emissary of Darkness. It's not really a monster, it's more so akin to a trap card, but it is a high attack dark monster that you can technically banish off of Phantom of Chaos to copy its attack strength, or bring it back with the Dark Creator. For the draw cards, I play 3 copies of Upstart Goblin, then I play 3 copies of Trade-In. If you think about all the different ways to search a level 8 monster, you have plenty of targets in this deck. And 1 copy of Allure Darkness, a very easily activatable card seeing as your deck is primarily Dark Monster. Then I play 3 copies of DDR. Then I play 2 copies of Gold Sarcophagus, mainly to search the Future Fusion, but in a pinch you can also use Gold Sarcophagus to banish a high power boss monster and bring it back off of DDR. And Future Fusion is of course the best card in the deck. If you open this card, it is very rare that you lose the game, seeing as it just enables all the powerful pieces in your deck. For some of the searchers, I play 1 copy of Rodan, 1 copy of E-Emergency Call. For the last spell in the main deck, I play 1 copy of Heavy Storm. And for the traps, I play the 2 best purple cards in the game, Trap Dust Shoot and Return from a Different Dimension. For the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Armory Arm, 1 copy of Magical Android, 1 copy of Alavia's Sister, 1 copy of Iron Chain Dragon. This actually comes up when you have Plague Spreader Zombie and a Greffer, so you can make a dragon to banish it for Red MD. 1 copy of Bryanak, 1 copy of Goya Guardian, 1 copy of Power Tool Dragon. Then I play 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon, 1 copy of Dark End Dragon, 1 Thought Rule Archfiend, 1 Colossal Fighter, 1 Stardust Dragon, 1 Mistworm, 1 Chimeritic Fortress Dragon, and for the last extra deck monster I play 1 copy of 5-Headed Dragon to reveal off Future Fusion. For the side deck, I play 2 copies of DD Crow, 1 Infernal Dragon, and 1 copy of Quakimeru Drago. Then I have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. This being a level 5 means that you can make Power Tool more easily with the Plague Spreader Zombie as well. 2 copies of Lightning Vortex. I really like this card against Amaryllis, seeing as you really want to push through their Titanial, and dealing with large established field can be quite troublesome at times. I sided 1 copy of MST to hit the Royal Oppression post side, and I'm also trying out 1 copy of Cold Wave. So the ruling in Edison format is that Cold Wave negates face-up cards, so if they have Oppression and you activate Cold Wave, they can no longer use it to negate your special summons. Then I sided 1 copy of Eradicate. Since Red MD is a 2800 Dark Monster, you can easily copy this with Phantom of Chaos, and tribute the Phantom with Eradicator before the end phase, or you can just tribute this off with Eradicator to maybe call traps to get rid of cards like Royal Oppression or whichever trap cards your Blackwing or Vayu opponent may have. And then I side 2 copies of Deck Devastation Virus. These virus traps are really strong and the Dragon deck is for sure the best deck in Edison format to utilize them. And for the last 2 side deck cards I have 2 copies of Royal Decree. If you enjoy my content, make sure to also subscribe to my second channel, linked in the description box down below.